Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry. Prezes części energetycznej grupy i właśnie dzisiaj opowiemy o części energetycznej, jak również o trendach w energetyce, nie tylko bułgarskiej czy polskiej, ale również europejskiej. Gorąco zachęcam do zadawania pytań na czacie, będą po prezentacji przekazane. Oddaję głos panu Karolowi. Dziękuję serdecznie.
Good morning to everybody. I hope I don't need to speak Polish.
Yeah.
Polish is not as good, so I understand, but it would be quite difficult for me. So once again, good morning to everybody here as well as to the online. Thanks to Michal and his team to organizing that meeting. I hope that I'll be able to provide you with some interesting information on the group and you on the European market and especially the one at Central and Eastern Europe. In first, very brief introduction to the group Eurohold and especially the part of Electrohold, because we will focus today on the energy part. Eurohold Bulgaria is a holding structure which have been in the past focus in the two main activities. One is the insurance business, or let's say insurance/finance, and it has as well a part of automotive. But in last year in July, Eurohold acquired the Electrohold, which is the former ČEZ assets in Bulgaria, and decided to focus on the two pillars, mainly on the energy and the insurance. So the automotive business was, as a part of the transaction, sold out. And now, let's say the two main pillars of activities are forming the Eurohold. One part, very few words from my side on the insurance, because I'm not the insurance specialist, and I will focus on the energy part. But to have the brief overview on the complete group in the insurance business, Eurohold is active through the Euroins Insurance Group on the 11 markets in the Central and Eastern Europe. The biggest part, the biggest share in Bulgaria and Romania on the 10-15% market share respectively. And overall, the revenues out of the insurance business is exceeding 1 billion euro, so 1.2 billion euro revenue with the EBITDA around 50 million. That's one leg of the business. The other part, now with the acquisition of former ČEZ assets in Bulgaria, adds the same value, or roughly the same value in terms of EBITDA, so around 50 million euro, but we will speak later on more in details for that. And that acquisition of former ČEZ assets in Bulgaria is composed out of the grid operation, as well as sales and trading, little production, but the main business is in the distribution and trading and sales. I'll get back to that in detail later on. So overall, I would say we have in the Eurohold group two stable legs, let's say balanced around the 50 million euro EBITDA, both with quite a significant market share and stability. If you look further, a few words on Eurohold. So as I said, it's a leading Central and Eastern Europe holding company based in Bulgaria. The roots in Sofia. It's owned the Bulgarian and international players. As I said, main business insurance and the energy. The energy is mainly the big part is the distribution, which covers the western part of Bulgaria. in terms of the market, we believe that now with the combination of energy and insurance, we have quite a strong story for synergies on the other market, which is addressable of worth of 40 billion euro in terms of insurance premiums or gross written premiums. Means that we believe that still we can grow in the insurance business, and together with that, we might be able to find the synergies for our customer base portfolio for the energy business as well. So we do forecast quite strong growth potential for both for gross written premiums in the insurance, as well as in our sales in energy business and trading. Few words on the acquisition of former ČEZ assets. ČEZ been in Bulgaria present since 2005 when privatized the one third of the distribution and sales in Bulgaria, and just changed the strategy recently, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, and step by step divest the assets outside of Czech Republic, and Eurohold took that opportunity and bought the Bulgarian assets. We there believe that we can grow now in the future based on the fact that being a part of ČEZ, we've been limited to the first to the territory of Bulgaria itself, and as well we can grow within the Bulgaria, having the synergies with Eurowings for the customer base, as well on the other territories than the west part of Bulgaria. So we believe that there we have again, in the energy business, 2 strong legs. One is distribution, where we have a natural monopoly, and the regulation, and I will comment that a bit later as well. The regulatory framework is, let's say, quite stable, and we have stable cash flows out of distribution. Plus, in the sales and trading, we have the growth potential, and you'll see that in the figures as well. On top of that, we have say the opportunity for the synergies within the 2 groups, especially in the back office functions, especially the IT infrastructure and so on. We believe that we have as well quite a strong management team. In principle, we have made very few changes in the management team, so most of the energy management team remains the one from ČEZ, myself being the example of that. We made very few changes, and most of these changes are anyway inside of the group. So we believe that we are positioned in the market with very good team, and the combination with Eurohold experts, especially in the financing part, is giving us quite good position on the market itself. In terms of the strategy, I won't comment much on the insurance. As I said, I'm not the insurance expert. I'm responsible for the energy part. So I mentioned only there that for the insurance, we believe and we see, or the insurance colleagues, they do see quite big potential in the growth in the insurance business, as especially Eastern Europe is not much penetrated in terms of the insurance. I would say compared to Western developed markets, still the insurance is not something which is very usual and very common in Eastern Europe. For example, the property insurance, you don't have so many mortgages where the bank requires the property insurance. there is a very small penetration in Bulgaria for that and so on. So there is definitely a potential for growth in the insurance. But as I said, I'm not going to comment that too much. In the energy part, we have discussed the transaction itself and the acquisition from Eurohold of the ČEZ assets. We've discussed what would be the benefits and why, what would be the strategy. And there, I will split it into two parts. One is related to the grid itself, and there we have presented to Eurohold senior management and the banks our view and our strategy for the development of the grid. That in principle remains unchanged, because there the focus is mainly on the digitalization of the grid and enforcing the grid for the connection of the new renewable sources. And that remains valid as well for the future, and then we believe that this is the right way. So that strategy consists of digitalization, implementation of the more software tools like workforce management, MDM, smart meters, smart grid, the management of the grid, new SCADA, and so on and so on. So, and that's supported by the investment program, which is approved by the regulator. On the side of the sales and trading, we've changed the strategy, having in mind according to the new reality being a part of the Eurohold group, and that's mainly in terms of the growth outside of the, for us, traditional territory on the Western Bulgaria. First step would be the growth outside of the inside the Bulgaria, so it means for the southern and eastern Bulgaria, where we have a big network of Euroin's partners and the brokers and sales guys, account managers, who we have step-by-step training for acquiring the customers for the energy business as well. And we have just last week I've been opening the first customer care center outside of the Western Bulgaria. In Sliven we have a first brokers trained, and we have a first let's say tens of energy contracts acquired customers from the insurance brokers. So there, that's the first step where we look for growing outside of the Western Bulgaria, and it's already happening. The second step would be to look at the international presence of Euroins, and to look at the same possibilities to grow in terms of acquisition of new customers. Because behind that, to acquire and to get the volume sold to the customers, behind that is the strategy for having the common sourcing portfolio and the trading part of the energy on the wholesale market, and hedging of different portfolios. So currently it's a little bit different with the today's market, but I believe that once the market will get again settled, and there most of the margins are generated in terms in the trading part of the business, not really on the sales side. And to have the good trading and to have a good base for the trading, we need to have a stable base and a bigger base for the with the end customers, and then we can hedge the portfolios. I believe that our strong part is that we have a mix of the portfolio of big customers, big industrial customers with the huge consumptions, stable profiles. We have household customers, and we have as well SMEs. So we have a broad portfolio of different type of consumers with the different production consumer profiles, and that gives us the possibility to gain the competitive advantage, especially in the balancing part of the business, and the sourcing as well. So we believe that in the energy business we can grow to EBITDAs of 130 million euros within next 3 years. I'll show you the figures in the next slides for last few years and as well the first 6 months of this year. And I will briefly give you maybe some insight on the forecast for the year end as well. So you will see that EBITDA of 130 million is not something which is unreachable. But before that, let's have a look on the environment and the main business of Electrohold, now focusing really on the energy part. Currently we have the revenue of nearly 1 billion, but on the revenue, I would not focus too much on the revenue, because for us the revenue is a bit volatile, I think, very much depending on the energy price. And for us, much more interesting than the revenues are the EBITDAs and the gross margin than the revenues. But indeed, that revenue gives you the bit insight what is the volume of a business. But we believe that for us, the Bulgarian market in the first step is quite attractive in terms of pricing, margins, and the potential for growth. The regulatory regime for the part of the distribution is, I would say, standard EU. I'll have a few words for that later on. So there we do not see much risks in terms of regulatory environment, the fundamentals in the Bulgarian market, and so on. Indeed, currently in these days with the energy prices, we might discuss what is the potential of for the customers to say lower the production, and what is the impact on the energy prices on the Bulgarian industry. But I will come back to that later as well. As I said, we have a western part of Bulgaria. And I've been said, and I've said that we have our ČEZ privatized 1/3 of the Bulgaria. But in fact, having the western part of Bulgaria means we have a Sofia as well, and most of the let's say industrial part and most of the industry customers are located in the western part of Bulgaria. So being 1/3, we are still 40% market share in the electricity distribution. Most of the customers are located in the western part of Bulgaria because we have the, let's say, the biggest cities and biggest industry concentration, as well as household customers and SMEs are mostly located in the bigger cities. What we see in Bulgaria is that in the smaller cities and the villages are the people are moving to the big cities, and there as well have been in the past quite a big wave of immigration, or let's say the people going outside of the Bulgaria. So now, if you have to look on the business, it's concentrated in the cities, and the countryside of Bulgaria is more or less, or it's the population there is getting quite smaller. Our business model for us, it's vertically integrated. Indeed, we have all of the unbundling rules present and so on. So, but anyway, this gives us the vertical integration, having distribution, having the trading as a sourcing, and then the sales part gives us the chance to scale up the business and to utilize the let's say advantage that we have everything in the group. And not only that, what you might see in the Electrohold companies and assets as well, but we have as well the partnership, which is either partially or on the strategic contracts part of our group. I'm talking about a production where Eurohold is present and is going to be present, and it's planning to invest in the generation, especially photovoltaics, which gives us a quite interesting base for the long-term customer contracts, and as well the growing business of so-called ESCO services. We call it ESCO, but in principle in Bulgaria you don't have really ESCO contracts like that. It's more on an EPC based energy efficiency contracts. So we are one of the biggest that company, which was former ČEZ as well. We are one of the biggest supplier for the small business, small scale photovoltaics for own consumption, the energy efficiency for the buildings, including the heating and so on. So that gives us the let's say full range of services which we can offer to our customers. We have quite stable and predictable cash flows coming out of the distribution business, and that gives us the base for say not being hit by the market distortions or disruptions which is happening now. I will comment that especially in the trading part, where the financing and the stability of the finance is at the moment the crucial and the key for success and for survival on the market. What we have still working on and that what we have identified is the potential for the operational enhancement. We have been, let's put it that way, we've been limited out of the two factors. One was the being a part of the big international group that gives us the possibility to focus only on the given territory, because the other territories were served by the other companies of the group of the ČEZ, and we've been limited by the shareholder structure. To be honest, there we've had a minority shares in the two companies, in the grid as well as in the sales, and there we had a bit difficulties to agree with the minority shareholders on some of the programs we've planned to implement. Now Eurohold in March or April this year started to buy out of the minority shares as well, and by September we are Eurohold is 100% owner of all the companies, so we have no minority shareholders issues anymore, and but based on that we started the programs of synergies between the group, getting the one shared service center for back office functions, finance, IT, and so on, together with the Eurohold and so on, which brings additional savings on the cost side and having the synergies there. So let's have a look and a few words on the regulatory environment. As I said already, the regulation in Bulgaria is quite stable. We have two regulated entities. One part is the natural monopoly of distribution, so we have the DSO. Maybe for some of the distributions in Bulgaria are only low voltage and the middle voltage. The high voltage is part of the transmission. So compared to Romania, 110 kilovolt network is not part of the distribution. We are the only exception. We have a 110 kilovolt network in Sofia, which is mainly underground cables, but that's a very small part of that. The rest of the 110 kilowatt network is part of the transmission, contrary to Romania, Czech Republic, and so on. So for the grid operator, we have, I would say, standard revenue cap method of regulation. It's based on the 3 years regulatory period. We have on a yearly basis on each of a revision on the quantities and the prices. So there is an adjustment on the grid on every July, but the main parameters means OPEX, CAPEX, rate of return, and so on is fixed for the 3 years period, especially the investment and OPEX. So there we serve the territory of Western Bulgaria, and we have there all the customers to our grid. The other part which is regulated is Electrohold sales, where the regulated is the household portfolio. Household portfolio in Bulgaria is regulated, and it's going to be regulated for some years still. I'm present in Bulgaria for 7 years. When I came to Bulgaria, there was a discussion that within the next 5 years, the households are going to be put in an open market, and the market will be fully liberalized. And frankly speaking, it didn't start it yet. And so all the time, the talk is in the next 5 years, the market is going to be liberalized. Just last week, the Parliament, the Energy Commission, the Parliament passed a bill which is trying to fix the regulation for the households till end of 25. So we believe that there would be kind of a regulation for the household customers at least to the till 2025 still in place. For us, that gives the quite comfort situation in terms of margin, because the margin is regulated and is fixed, and they're having the energy price for the households set on very low levels. There is no competition coming on. In principle, there is no interest for any trader to try to get the household customers, because they theoretically can be on the open market, but economically and price-wise doesn't make any sense. So that ability for another 5 years. For there, we are a bit neutral in both. We don't. We are not afraid of the market liberalization. If that is going to change and the market is going to be liberalized, then we believe that we are in a good position to keep quite ratio of the customers with us, and that we might be able to attack other territories as well, and to stay. If it's kept like that, then we can work on that as well, and focus on SMEs and the big industrial customers. So that won't be for us. As I said, for the sales part, we have on the purchase cost of energy fixed margin, and there the formula for the regulation business and for the households is giving us a 7% markup on the cost side. So now, having in mind that the energy price for us purchase is set for the households at levels of 41, 42 euro. On that, we are getting the markup. We don't see there for the future much risk, the potential that that price is going to be lowered, which would impact the margin negatively. It's rather vice versa, having the cost for the producers going up, then the base for the 7% markup, we believe that would be rather going in the upward direction, but slowly, as the energy price for the households is quite political issue, and there would be a big political pressure to keep the household prices at the, let's say, stable or slowly growing path. In the distribution, there we believe that the regulation is going to go in the direction of upwards, especially having in mind the capex. The need for the investment into the grid is huge, and we believe that the authorities needs to approve and needs to focus usage of the EU funds for the grid, especially in terms of connection of more and more renewables. For your imagination, currently there is a big wave of requests for connection of a new photovoltaics on the level of distribution grid, as well as big ones to the transmission. There's plenty of projects, and we have a lot of requests for connection. So for the first 6 months, we've had already double the amount of the requests compared to the whole 21. So the request is the interest is quite high. Overall, on the Bulgarian level, the amount of requested new connection for photovoltaics is reaching 28,000 megawatts. So that's a huge number, and indeed, maybe 10% of that is going to be really realized, but still that's a big number. So the need for the grid investment is huge, and there is a willingness from the government to allocate some money from the modernization fund from it, and that gives us the possibility to get to increase the asset base through the EU funds as well. And there we believe that the overall other capex is going to remain at the level which is currently in place. Let's have a look a bit more in the detail for the individual companies. So a few words on the distribution. As I said, you can see on the picture that we are in the western part of Bulgaria. So on the north, bordering with Romania over the Danube, on the west with Serbia, North Macedonia, up to the east with Greece. We have Sofia as the capital, and cities, especially Blagoevgrad, which is quite industrial center as well. So that said, we are covering 40,000 square meters with over population over 3 million people, having in mind that the whole is around between 6 and 7. We are covering in principle more than 40% of the population of the country in terms of the grid connection. We have the license, which is valid till for 35 years. So there we do not see any trouble in that, and we stable business. In terms of numbers, see that we have a let's say stable growth in the revenues in the distribution business. The first figures for the first half of 22 shows that we will both revenues and EBITDA be at the minimum at the same or slightly above 21. That comes mainly from the grid losses. Because what is the model is that regulator is approving the certain level of grid losses which is allowed, and we are able to for last 4 or 5 years to decrease that level of losses below the one which is approved by the regulator. So we are gaining their additional profits from that. So the more efficiency and more loss reduction in the grid, then we are getting better results, and we believe that this is going to continue mainly due to the investment programs we have, mainly through the smart meters. We are currently at the end of the year planning to be on almost in smart meters in our grid, having in mind that we have 1.7 million customers connected to our grid on the low voltage part. On the middle voltage, we have the smart meters. They're already on the big customers already from the past. This I do not take into account for the industrial customers. So talking about households and the SMEs. And as well, we are implementing a number of measures in the grid automation itself, which gives us the possibility to better, faster react to the outages and better detect the thefts in the grid, which leads to better operational results. lower losses means better. We are financially quite stable as well. The big part of the financing for the capex is coming from EBRD loan, and there we have stable financing as well for the next years for the investment program, which is foreseen. In terms of trade and sales, I'll focus a few words on the trade. It's seems to be smaller, and there is a small part of the slide for the trade. On the other hand, it's getting the bigger and bigger, and it's a heart of our trade or sales business. Trade has mainly two. One is the sourcing and the wholesale. So our traders and our trading floor are sourcing the energy for all the companies in the group. There we are focusing on the balancing, and as I've been trying to describe, to balance the portfolios and to have the competitive advantage on lower balancing cost than the other players having the biggest portfolio. And in Bulgaria, we are number one in terms of the balancing customers in our balancing group, which gives us the opportunity to provide them with the competitive pricing for the balancing and having the extra margins for us on that as well. In terms of the customers and the volumes, we are growing quite fast there, and the EBITDAs are growing, and you can see that from 2018 to 2022, we are recording the biggest EBITDAs ever. Mainly that comes from partially growing the portfolio itself. Second is the prices and the let's say sensitivity of the customers for the margins. I'll comment that a bit later when we come to the EU regulation and the overall price and the different approaches within the countries. Bulgaria is quite specific at the moment compared to other markets, and that gives us the opportunity to record such high margins because of the customer sensitivity for the margin is limited because of the cap provided by the government. So they are not price sensitive at the moment. Let's put it that way. In terms of Electrohold Sales is the company which is a holder of the 3 licenses. We have the trading, or what we call trading is more the sales for the SMEs. So there you might have a question, why do we have a Electrohold Trade and why do we have Electrohold Sales? And in both companies, trading portfolio or sales portfolio of business customers. So the strategy and the differentiation between the two is the Electrohold Trade is focusing on the bigger customers and the customers who are what we call individually served. So these are the customers where we have allocated the account manager who is taking care about them and selling processes for the bigger volumes. While on the Electrohold Sales, we have the smaller SMEs mainly connected to the low voltage grid. So the small cafeterias, restaurants, hairdresser shops, and so on, which is more in terms of a retail market, in terms of the selling through the online channels, call center, and so on. So there are no dedicated account managers for this part of portfolio. On top of that, Electrohold Sales is holding the end supplier. So this is the regulated portfolio of households. So we have there the whole household customers of Western Bulgaria with the regulation which I mentioned before. And the third license we are holding there in the Electrohold Sales is the last resort supplier, which are the customers who are not either whose trader bankrupted simply, or the customers who were not able to, for whatever other reason, to conclude a contract with other trader. Bulgaria again is a bit specific there because there is no limitation in time of how long the customer can sit in the last resort supplier. So we have customers which are for not only months, which are for years sitting in the last resort supplier, not price sensitive, paying a high price, and quite a good margin for us on the last resort as well. So this, we believe that step by step, this is going to be cleaned up while the market is going to stabilize, and that we would be able to convert, and we are already working on that, to convert these customers from last resort to our trading portfolio, either in trade or in sales. Big part of the last resort suppliers are as well say state-owned companies, and the companies who are obliged to purchase electricity based on the public procurement law, and they are sitting there because the procedure simply takes too long, and in some cases they are not able to conclude the contract, and then sitting in the last supplier for a quite long time. Few words on remaining companies in the group. We have Electrohold Bulgaria, which is, let's say, shared services. So this, adding the back office functions to the rest of the group: finance, HR, IT, and so on, legal, transportation, PR, and so on. So the synergies for all the companies are in terms of the back office functions in Electrohold Bulgaria. We have the ICT, which is the provider for all the IT or IT and telco integration services, and that's the company which is now heavily integrated together with the and taking the synergies as well with the IT of Eurohold itself, and getting some shares and synergies there as well, and which leads to lower cost for us. We have in part of the transaction perimeter was as well free energy project Oreshet, which is a small 5 megawatt photovoltaic in the western, the northwest part of Bulgaria. So it was part of the transaction perimeter as well. But as I said, the main activities of Eurohold, the future in terms of photovoltaics, is going to take place outside of the Electrohold via the different investments and the partnership outside, because the transaction perimeter should not be changed. And we have a newly established company recently, a few weeks ago. We've established the EPC, and the aim of that EPC is to provide the turnkey projects for in the first step distribution mainly. Frankly speaking, one of the reasons why we do so is that we have had quite serious troubles with some of the subcontractors, especially in the engineering, project management, especially engineering part, and there we will cover everything our own, having in mind that we can provide that kind of service to our customers as well, where we have already a couple of projects where our customers are willing to get the turnkey linked to the energy connection to the grid from us, because the let's say the process for the new connection of the new constructed building is in Bulgaria quite administratively demanding, let's put it that way. The bureaucracy behind that is quite huge, and we've seen in the world quite at the end of the list of the companies how long it takes customer to the grid. So therefore the customers are willing to give that to us because we know the paperwork better than they do, and we can manage that a bit faster. So that's the newly established company. That's in a nutshell and very short the Electrohold group and the transactional perimeter which was acquired by Eurohold. A few words on the market itself and how do we see ourselves positioned and what we believe would be the next development and how that might impact us. You know that nothing new. The Eurostat has recently published the new figures, the new numbers for electricity prices and the gas prices in EU. And what we can see is that in the past, let's say, 1.5 years, the prices after years of relative stability are jumping up, and that the gas and electricity price is an issue for Europe everywhere, being it household, being it industry, and all the countries have the issue with that. And we can see that the prices are jumping in a big percentage. What is more interesting is that that increase is not levelized across the Europe. There are countries where the increase of the electricity and gas is tremendously bigger than in other countries. The left chart is showing the electricity price increase in the percentage, and the right chart is showing the gas prices. And there are some interesting issues seen. We can see Czech Republic is the premium this time, and there's a big debate in Czech Republic why it's that we are number one in the growth of the electricity by 62% in Czech Republic, and you can imagine that the politicians are under heavy fire from the opposition that they do not do anything for the end customers because the electricity price went up heavily. On the other hand, we might see there some other countries where the increase is not as big. But what that means? That means that there are different countries with different support schemes for the end customers coming in a different period of time. So, for example, Netherlands, they came with the support scheme already in the Q1. So there, where the Czech Republic has no support scheme, and in principle, the support scheme is not in place up to now. And these are the figures for the first 6 months. We have as well to bear in mind that what is the base from which the prices are growing. So the Netherlands prices were already quite high, and so on. What I would like to draw your attention is one interesting fact for us for the Bulgaria. We can see that the Bulgaria is, in terms of the energy price, quite mild in terms of increase. It's a very low increase in the Bulgaria in the electricity. On the other hand, in the gas price, the increase in the area for the gas price is one of the highest. What that means? That means that for us as the electricity distribution and the trader, the customers who are heating with the gas, and these are not so many, but they're part of the portfolio in Bulgaria who is heating with the gas and heating with other means than the electricity, they will switch to electricity. And it's already happening, and we are seeing it already on the first figures now as the heating season slowly comes, that the customers are coming to the electricity heating. That gives us the opportunity for the bigger sales, more and therefore as well better margins. On the other hand, of course, there might be a slight risk on the stability of the grid in terms of some of the areas where the gas heating is relevant. But as I said, the individual gas heating in Bulgaria is not so common. There's a very low consumption of gas in Bulgaria for the individual heating. 1/3 of the consumption is by the Toplofikacja Sofia, which is the central heating for Sofia itself. But the individual customers are not so many. But what we see is that not only gas heating, but as well the pellets and other types of heating are increasing their prices, while the regulatory price for the household is kept at the same level, and that gives us the additional kick in the energy consumption. We might see on the other slide is as well once again that the price increase in the last 2-3 semesters are getting quite significant, and that leads to for both and non-household in the on the right side. What is interesting is that the non-household prices are growing even more, which means that the household prices are being kept by the regulatory and compensation mechanisms, while the business struggles, which might indicate, and I believe that this indicates and already see that there would be a potential for lowering of the consumption of the business customers by slowing down the production. This gives us little warnings for potential recession and potential stop of the production. In terms of comparisons, as I said, we can look at the different prices for the household and non-household, where we can see that there's quite a significant change in terms of, or difference between the household and non-household prices in terms of the ranking within the country. So again, as I take the example of Bulgaria, Bulgaria has one of the lowest prices, or nearly the lowest prices for households, and kept very low. On the other hand, the Bulgarian business is on the average or slightly above the average of the EU. So that again leads to the pressure from the industrial lobby to the government for additional measures to be taken by the government and for compensation schemes. As a result of that, we can see on the other slide that the governments are, let's say, hearing what the business is saying and hearing what the households are saying, and coming back and trying to compensate that spikes for the last years with the compensation mechanism. Unfortunately or fortunately, country by country, that very much differs, and every government is taking a different position and different steps, and as well different levels. We can see the Czech Republic has fixed the electricity prices around 240 to 245 euro per megawatt hour for both households and SMEs. And this does not include the big industry. Big industry does not get the subsidy in Czech Republic at the moment at all. It's a big political debate there, and the big industry is calling for these support schemes. What is on the table is that there would be a special fund where the big industry might request for the compensation, but it would not be on the compensation on the megawatt hour used, but would be based on the their loss of profit. So it's not let's say what is discussed. It's not a that would be for everybody, but every big industry has to prove that they have, because of the energy prices, loss of profit, and that they are on the loss situation, and then they might apply for the compensation. While the SMEs and the households, their price is going to be fixed on 240. Bulgaria, as I said, the regulated price for the households is kept very low on the 42 euro per megawatt hour, while the business is kept at 128 currently to the end of the year. And last week passed the Energy Commission in the Parliament a bill which will fix for the price for the business starting from 1st of January 23 for complete 23 on the 100 euro. So you can see that there as well, the pressure from the industrial lobby is quite huge, and the level from our perspective seems to be very low. What is the impact for that for us in the Bulgaria is there are two. One is positive for us because, as I said already, the customers are not really price sensitive. They don't care. The cap is 120 euro, 100 euro in the future. They don't care for the margins. They don't care. Whatever is above, it's compensated from the government. On the other hand, for us, we need to finance the delta between the cap and the market price because the mechanism works in a way that we do buy the energy, and government is then compensating the traders for the delta between the cap and the market price. Usually that takes around 45-50 days. So the pressure on us for the working capital is getting extremely high, and that's as said at the beginning, being part of the big insurance and finance group, that gives us a bit of stability and puts us in a good position on the market. We see it already that many other traders, not because of the margins, not because of the margin calls or so on, that they would be stepping out of the market. Simply, they do not have enough working capital to finance the business, and they are cherry picking their portfolios and cleaning up their portfolios, sending their customers to the last resort, which means to us. So there we see as well quite increase in the last resort supply portfolio on our side because of cleaning or cherry picking from the other traders. On the other hand, as I said, this is quite a nice margins because the customers are not price sensitive anymore, and we are able to provide again additional benefit for us having the bigger portfolio on the balancing market. What is important to say, what is important to understand, the Bulgaria is quite has happened in Bulgaria. I believe that this is going to happen in the rest of the Europe step by step, or at least in some level as well. But in customers in the last 12 months switched from the forward pricing and fixed price to spot plus. We have our portfolio is 90%, more than 90% of our portfolio is on the spot plus pricing. We do not have any more contracts with the fixed contracts with the customers for the price, which is again fine for us in terms of the price risk. We don't bear any price risk. Customer is paying spot plus. On the other hand, we have to on a day ahead market on day by day buy the energy and finance it because we don't have the users as well. So, and that happens exactly because of the compensation mechanism, because the customer does not really want to fix the price at the moment. Because why? Because the price is compensated and the compensation mechanism is calculated based on the spot price. So the customer doesn't care for the long-term contract. We do see first small months, and that some customers are starting to check what would be the fixed price for the longer period, and that would be especially linked with the renewable energy. So we have a couple of customers where we are negotiating with them 3, 5, even 7 years contract or even 10 years contract as an offtake from the photovoltaic power plants where we are going to invest as the group. But that's, I would say, now on an individual basis. The market sentiment is on the spot, and the customers will sit on the spot as long as the compensation mechanism will be in place. Last example for that, for comparing, is the Romania. Romania is has introduced that compensation mechanism already sometimes ago, and frankly speaking, it's changing it quite often as well. The last figures which are there are based on the price decree, which is valid since of 1st of September. if that is going to be changed again, we'll see. You can see that the mechanism in Romania is quite, let's say, difficult to understand. There's a lot of conditions in it. They're trying to manage the households for the different levels of consumption, for the for the SMEs or the non-household customers. There is only part of the consumption related, and as well the decree which is put in place as of September 1st is limiting the number of the business which is eligible for that type of so it's not anymore all the business eligible for the price cap. So clear the households, the governments needs to find the financing for that because they need to finance that compensation mechanism, and that it should come from the European Commission regulation for the inframarginal cap on revenues. We've been discussing that heavily on let's say European level, on the industry. Being a part of Euroelectric, provided to European Commission a number of comments on that inframarginal cap on revenues. If I should summarize that, on the first answer from the industry would be that makes no sense, and that's not a good solution. As the discussion was going on, it was clear that there has to be something to be done, and our target was to limit the impact of that regulation as much as possible. Unfortunately, the regulation itself, finally, we believe that okay, there has to be something done, and this is the probably the minimum what is necessary. What we see as most dangerous, and that's already materializing, that the regulation itself gives quite a big freedom to the local government for deviations, and that 180 euro per megawatt hour produced is a reference which most probably most of the countries will not follow, and there will be a different ranking. And so we see it in the Czech Republic, we see it in Bulgaria. I don't know what is the discussion now in the Poland currently on that, but there we see a let's say politicians and the government trying to find every possibility in the regulation itself for the local adjustments. In Czech Republic, for example, former ČEZ having a lot of nuclear and water generation, their blended price, according to the last proposal which is on the table and which would be probably approved, their blended price as a cap would be around 135 euros, not 180. In area, one of the first proposals was on 200 leva, which is 100 euro as well. They will blend the price for the different sources. For the nuke, they're talking about a cap of 60 euro is the request from the business to cap the and take all other profits above 60 euro from the nuclear. And so that for us gives a bit, let's say, the risk factor is that the implementation overall around the different countries will be different, and that might distort the market even more than it's. The EU has expected that out of that regulation, the additional income would be in the range of 117 billion euro for Europe. That would, the governments will get in the extraordinary money to compensate the prices. We as an industry are recommending to the governments and to EU to provide, because the date is coming. It's the 1st of December when it needs to be implemented, and we are trying to force the European Commission to provide a implementation guideline where it would give to the member states a recommendations or guide how to implement the regulation. And the proposal from us, or the recommendation, is quite clear. Keep the 180 euro per megawatt hour as it is, and cap it only for the 90% of the revenues, in order to force the market, or to let the market act normally, not to take out the incentives of the price formula and the pricing of the market itself. The other very important thing is that it should not be implemented on the transaction level. What was in this case in the EU regulation was that it should be calculated for every transaction. First of all, it's in principle impossible separate every single trade and to take 180 euro as a base and take money out of that. And it will not take into account all of the hedging, buybacks, and the energy market works. So we recommend strongly that the cap should be applied on the weighted average revenue, and should take into account the buyback and hedging, and especially it should take out the balancing markets and so-called the grid service or congestion services out of that, and focus only on the forwards, day-ahead and intraday markets, and exclude the balancing, which is the grid service, and not really trade of the energy. What is even more worrying for us is that we see that the governments are not stopping only there, and we have one of first examples, and that's Czech Republic, where on top of the EU regulation is going to be implemented as well windfall profit tax on the separate industries, 6 biggest banks, and the energy sector, where in principle it's a combination of the regulation plus the windfall profit tax, and that's distorting the business even more, and in principle it's taken out the investment incentive into the energy, and the recommendation from the industry is not to follow that path. Unfortunately, in Czech Republic, this is already the case. It has been voted 2 days ago in Parliament, and there would be a windfall profit tax on the bank and energy. And from our perspective, that would even lead to additional instability of the market, because the Czech example most probably will end up at the Constitutional Court, because it's implemented for the period which is proposed by the EU Commission, but it's implemented till 25. So we do believe that there will be a constitutional case on that, and the market instability and uncertainty is going to be even bigger. For us, what is the impact of that inframarginal cap on the revenues, and so directly as Eurohold and for our business in Bulgaria? In terms of the trading and the generation, as I said, we see it from our business perspective rather positive, in terms of customers are not price sensitive at all, and the margins are say better than usual, and we have there. On the other hand, that bit stops the trading in terms of a competition and the willingness of the customers to change. Let's say currently the market is more or less frozen in terms of the customers selecting and comparing the offers from a different traders, because the price is for them not a factor anymore. Because if you buy from me or from you, anyway, your price is the same. So that's freezing the market. So we do see that inframarginal cap for us, on one hand, positive in terms of the margin. On the other hand, it prolongs the situation where we have to provide the working capital to finance the business, to wait for the governmental compensations to be returned to us. the bigger spread between the market price and the cap is, the bigger need for the working capital we have. So that's what we see as let's say, the other side of the coin on that. What is the way out of it, and what is the solution for the situation, and what do we propose or recommend? First of all, I believe that we should answer the question: does the market, the energy market, fail? Is that because what we hear is that the market is broken, and need to, and therefore the other compensation mechanisms and different ideas how to the market are in place. From our perspective, to answer the question, does the market failed? Is simply no. The market worked as it should. It's simply the energy based on the gas consumption. It became a scare item, and the demand is higher than the supply, and therefore the price is high. So the market is working perfectly. The market mechanisms are there. So what has happened is things at the same time, and there is a lot of discussion. Is that because of the Ukrainian war? Is it Russia? Is that a German energy policy? And so I believe that it's a mix of everything. I used to compare it with the plane crash. So if the plane crashes, that's not usually because of one thing. You have a consequence of a couple of things where finally the last one leads to the crash. We've made a lot of, or we've made a couple of pilot mistakes. Now, having in mind that we have bet everything on one card, which is the cheap gas from Russia, we've bet on reducing the nuke and put everything on the Green Deal and the green transition, where the bridge between the coal without the nuke to renewables should be gas, and we've believed that the gas will be always there. And Russia showed us that this is not the case. So that's how to get out of that for the future. There we believe that the bet on the renewables together with the nuke is the right choice, and that still there will be a need for gas in a couple of years, and it is not going to be replaced by anything. We don't. And that would lead to the need of more LNG, because the situation with Russia might take still years. I don't believe personally that the situation will be solved there quickly, and that we will get back to cheap Russian gas. Simply, that's not going to happen, in my opinion. And we now see that the deliveries from Russia are down by 80%. Or more than 80%. We are receiving only half terawatt hour a day of gas, where we've been receiving more than 3. And I don't think that it's going to change. I would rather see that as a risk that might even drop further. There's a big debate: are we safe for this winter? I've been in the last couple of weeks think, okay, we are safe. The gas storages are full, 96% now on the EU level, and at winter the temperatures are higher than expected, and so on. So there are even the LNG tankers waiting, not having the possibility to store that energy anywhere. But that for me, I would not be yet so sure that this winter is safe and secure, because if the really cold winter hits, then the storages will save us for 7 days. If it's that's so the figure I know. So we might still see the price hikes in the winter. What is a little bit worrying me and what is a little bit strange is that when we look at the forward price of the gas for the winter, we don't see there any winter factor. Usually the Q1 prices were higher than the rest of the year. Now, when we look at the forwards of the gas for the next year, they're more or less stable over the year. So the market believes that there would not be a shortage of gas. And if that happens, then we might see the spikes still this winter. On the other hand, some of other signals are saying that the winter might be mild. We are in the third year of La Nina effect, polar vortex, and so on. So I've been looking at the summer meteorological forecasts. In principle, they are saying by end of November, maybe we'll know a bit more. By end of December, we will be even more sure. And I'm adding that by mid of April, we will know perfectly how the winter was. So don't think that we can still that we can already say we are safe for this winter. And what is from our perspective a bit missing is a discussion on the demand side and the energy efficiency and the savings over this winter. And I'm a little bit worried about the statements from the politicians saying, don't worry, we have secured the gas, the storage is full, the winter is secured. Because that gives the signal to the people that they don't need to worry about the energy efficiency too much. And I believe that without the energy efficiency and the savings, we might still have a trouble over this. The next trouble comes then, what will we do for the next winter? Because it's fine that the gas storage is full, but the gas storage is full with the Russian gas. How we will fill the storages in next spring and summer, getting ready for the next winter. And there, the LNG terminals are the key. We've seen, and that gives us, on the other hand, a little bit of optimism that we've seen that some of the capacities have been pretty fast put in place. And situation will give a little bit a incentive to the governments to provide the bureaucracy for the paperwork to approve the constructions faster than it was in the past, and that would help. To do in terms of the market design, there is a lot of discussion now that the market prices and the electricity prices are distorted by the gas price, and that the gas price is not that the TTF pricing is not the right one, that we should look at the different index and that we should decouple the gas price from the electricity pricing and so on. If the discussion on the so-called Iberic model, which was applied in Spain and Portugal, where the gas price for the electricity production have been kept, would probably quite hardly work for the rest of the Europe. Iberic is a bit based on that it's isolated from the rest of the European grid, and that the energy exports are limited, and that what is the most important for us on that is that on the Iberic example, we see that this leads to the more generation from the gas and the export of gas out of the Spain to France on the limited connectivity they have. If that is going to be applied to the Europe, it might be counterproductive in terms of that there will be more gas generated from more electricity provided from the gas, and there we would get less gas, which would push the electricity price again up. And in fact, the gas price cap is leading to fairly similar result as the inframargin cap on revenues, because in fact the cap on the gas price is nothing else than the compensation for the electricity producers from the gas. Someone has to pay it. And there, for the Europe, it's even more difficult to discuss who is going to compensate whom. We have the countries like Poland, where there's no, or Bulgaria, where there is in principle no gas electricity production at all, and you have a lot of coal, like Bulgaria, like the Czech Republic as well. While Germany has a significant part of that, should they compensate the electricity which would be exported to other countries? Indeed, they don't like that idea too much. And I believe that the inframarginal cap should be enough to compensate the customers and cover. So there's many open points on the decouple gas price from electricity pricing. There is a non-paper leaked by the European Commission, and we as Euroelectric are going to provide again our white paper on that and recommendations, and still see there quite a lot of issues, and we don't see that as the way what we see there, and what we believe that it should be put much more pressure on is on the energy savings, and that's from our perspective in the public space, that's been a little bit put behind, and now everybody is talking about the compensations and gas price caps and so on, but no one is talking too much about the energy savings, which are vital for that, because this is really to clean the peaks, to stop the production from the gas in the peak hours, and that would stabilize the prices. In terms of longer term perspective, there is a big debate on if the energy market needs redesign, if the marginal cost pricing is the right model for the energy. I believe that it does what it should, and it works fine. What we see there is that on the other hand, it doesn't work quite fine in terms for the pricing of the renewables. It works fine for the day-ahead markets and the incentivizing the last megawatt produced, but for the long term, it might it has let's say limitations. So what I do expect in the near future would be a debate on the move for the levelized cost of energy pricing model for the long term, and I believe that the EU and as well the customers and the producers should move more to the longer term fixed contracts with in the marginal cost on the balancing and the day ahead for the peak hours. But more and more the customers should get to the fixed price for the longer period, which is a bit new and which is a bit let's say counterintuitive to the ideas of EU coming in the past months and years, where they would like that the customer should be able to switch the supplier not once per month, but ideally once per week, based on the online metering and the smart meter, and I should be able to choose as the customer supplier nearly via the phone. That will not work with the levelized cost of energy contract. That would lead to the only day ahead. So there was a big pressure on that the day ahead market is the substantial one, and that the customers should be based there. And we believe that this will lead, this will change now, and there will be a push for the longer fixed term contracts, which for us, especially in Bulgaria, and for us as a trader, is going to be more beneficial in terms of better planning of our cash flows, being able to manage the portfolios, manage our open positions, and get to real trader work. And I believe that in the long term, it will maybe with bigger pressure on the margins, but on the other hand, predictability and stability of our business, that would be the right approach. So it took a bit longer than I promised, but I want to. Yes, like.
Dziękujemy serdecznie za wystąpienie. Zachęcamy teraz Państwa do zadawania pytań, zarówno tutaj gości zgromadzonych u nas na sali, jak widzów na webinarze. Zobaczymy, czy są jakieś pytania. Webinar był bardzo długi i pan Karel Kral poruszył wiele kwestii. Czekajmy chwilę. Okay. Nie mamy żadnych pytań. Pan Karel Kral wszystko poruszył. Więc dziękujemy serdecznie i zachęcamy do odwiedzin strony eurohold.bg, gdzie mogą Państwo zadawać więcej pytań i mieć kontakt ze spółką, i zachęcamy do dalszego śledzenia spółki. Do widzenia.
Do widzenia. Dziękuję bardzo.